Thank you for joining us on Plus TV Africa News. My name is Felicity Ezewike. Boko Haram terrorists have staged a fresh attack on a military base in Baga, Borno State, northeastern Nigeria, a day after they invaded and sacked the residents. Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Texas Chukwu on Sunday confirmed the terror attack, saying that it is a combined troops of 8 2-division task force brigade and 158 task force battalion repelled the attack and were restoring normalcy in the area. He said that even though the terrorists set some buildings ablaze, there was no recorded casualty. Reports say the terrorists captured the community after trooping into the area in large numbers and shooting sporadically, which sent thousands of residents fleeing. The presidency says President Muhammadu Buhari is neither in confrontation with the parliament over his refusal to sign the amended Electoral Act bill, nor against the use of card readers in the forthcoming elections. Presidential aide Garba Shehu expressed the readiness of President Buhari to sign the Electoral Act after effecting all the necessary corrections, adding that he had asked his officials to dialogue with the legislature for the corrections to be effected. We wish to state in clear and unambiguous terms that the issue of e-voting and use of card readers was never an issue for the president's decision to decline assent to the bill. It is equally important that this issue is not raised either by the executive or the legislature in the recent review. The presidency has condemned the reports which allege that President Muhammadu Buhari's chief of staff, Mr. Abu Bakr, received a bribe of 29 million naira to award a contract. The presidency takes strong offense to the improbable and outlandish publication, the statement said, adding that we wish to state with full authority that the allegation is wrong and the chief of staff did not have any private meeting with the person making those allegations. With 5 months to the general elections, the presidency accused some politicians of working to build pressure on the Muhammadu Buhari administration by yielding scandals it said do not exist against it. It said the supply of 15 Hilux vehicles for the presidency is claimed was an unlikely contract to have been awarded, noting that the contract did not exist anywhere in the 2016 and 2017 budgets. And residents in Mpape suburb of Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, say they are still living in fear over the recent vibrations confirmed to be earth tremors. Our correspondent, Amadine Uyi, visited Mpape community and tells us more.
Mpape, a community of an estimated 2 million residents. Located in Buhari Area Council of Abuja and is site to major block quarrying activities, Mpape has experienced earth tremors in the last few days. Ibrahim Abdullahi, a resident, and several others described their experience.
We discovered that there is something like blasting in Mpape, make the ground shake. But we later discovered that maybe we thought it's a blasting, and it's not a blasting.
That Thursday evening, as the team blow, I was outside fetching water. The building shake, the thing can't shake my leg. I can't shout Jesus. I don't enter inside. As I don't enter inside, small time in the night, it can't do again. Bam! The building will shake.
Since 3 days now or 4 days now, the ground is a shake very well. I go here like 2 times, like 5 times or 6 times. I hear this one. Yesterday in the morning, just I hear this thing very well around 6:10. I will hear this one. I don't know what to happen.
They spoke to Plus TV Africa, saying many of the residents within the community now live in fear.
Really, people fear because when this thing happens, people come outside, praying, look around, some crying, even moving from Mpape. Actually, there are my neighbors that they are not in Mpape today.
Behind me is one of the numerous quarries that exist in the Mpape suburbs. Residents have blamed the recent earth tremors, which have been the source of widespread fear, to the rock blasting activities of some of these quarries. However, officials from the Nigerian Geological Survey Agency thinks this is untrue.
A lot of people really do not understand the mechanism of earthquakes and what they should be doing to avoid increasing the risk factor. Yes, mining is going on, but you can't readily attribute this to mining activities.
The Director General of the Nigerian Geological Survey Agency says the tremors have not been unique to Mpape alone.
There are certain areas that have experienced this kind of tremor. For instance, in Koi, I don't know how many mining companies are in Koi, so you can't directly relate it to mining. But that is not to say that you can completely discountenance the effect it will have.
The NGSA says in-depth investigation into the cause of the tremors have commenced, but urges residents to vacate their houses whenever there is a reoccurrence. Amadine Uyi, Plus TV Africa.
We'll take a short break. When we come back, the news continues. Stay with us. Nigeria's agency with statutory responsibility for road safety administration, the Federal Road Safety Corps, has reacted to reports that our officials will soon begin to bear arms and the building of an armory somewhere in Gwagwalada, Abuja for that purpose. Safety Corps FRSC has debunked a recent report that personnel will soon begin to bear arms for their safety. FRSC spokesperson, in an exclusive interview with Plus TV Africa, says the report is premature.
The federal government has not given the go-ahead for FRSC to bear arms. So I was surprised to read sometimes last week with a bold-line headline in one of the newspapers that FRSC to bear arms soon. It's not something that could be hidden if eventually government permits. It's definitely going to be announced by either the federal government or us.
Speculations are also rife as to indications of an alleged armory being built somewhere in Nigeria's federal capital, Abuja.
The report says someone under anonymity. And that is where we find it very difficult to, that's quite speculative. I, as the spokesperson of FRSC, I'm not aware of any armory anywhere.
The act establishing the Federal Road Safety Corps permits officials to bear arms, but as a road safety expert with Safety Beyond Borders opines, this should be considered with caution.
Yes, there will be instances of likely abuse, but amongst the military and paramilitary agencies in Nigeria today, the most civil is actually FRSC. And so if they can maintain that calmness in spite of being armed, then they won't be a threat to the citizens. But I think generally we should think less of the guns. Now, the size of gun that they will be carrying is a concern to me. Because you want to go for operation, he needs to carry a human being, he needs to move some objects. Is the gun that he's bearing not going to be a barrier? Is he going to put it at the back when he wants to rescue? How safe will the gun be?
Staggering statistics show that about 149 cases of attacks and some 201 instances of damage to property of the Corps and personnel have led to agitations that they be armed. Government's decision on the issue is yet to be given. Should she approve the use of arms, however, several fundamental issues such as intensive training for officials and the types of arms to be used needs to be adequately addressed. Staying on the big news in Angola politics this weekend was the final retirement of Jose Eduardo dos Santos, the country's long-serving president, and also the assumption of full control of government and party by incumbent João Lourenço. There was, however, another key development that saw a woman take the position of deputy president of the ruling party, the People's Movement for the Liberation of Angola. She became topmost female official of the party, the top echelons had previously been largely dominated by men. Mr. Lourenco, who received 98.59% of the vote, vowed in his long closing speech that members of the party would not be immune to his drive to stamp out graft. Angola's economy has still not recovered from the oil price slump in 2014, with falling production eroding the benefit of higher prices. Sudan's President Umar al-Bashir has dissolved the government and appointed a new prime minister in a move aimed at fixing the country's ailing economy. President Bashir on Sunday appointed Motaz Musa, who had been serving as Minister of Water Resources, Irrigation and Electricity, as Sudan's new prime minister, replacing Bakri Hassan Saleh. Mr. Saleh, who is serving as both Prime Minister and Vice President, had been appointed in 2017. He will retain his vice presidential post. Mr. Musa's government is expected to have 21 ministers rather than the 31 ministerial posts of the now dissolved administration, a move intended to cut spending. In recent months, people in Sudan have been suffering from shortage of bread, fuel, and hard currency. Protests broke out at the funeral of a top police official who was shot and killed in Uganda on Saturday. Reports confirmed that police spokesperson Emilian Kayima was chased from the burial ground by mourners. Mourners pelted Minister Jeje Otondo, while the police spokesman, according to local news portals, was physically assaulted. Funeral prayers were said for him at the old Kampala Mosque before he was transported to the place of burial. Angry mourners were seen chanting in his Bulenga home. Officer Kirumira was attacked as he was returning to his home, located on the outskirts of the capital, Kampala. President Museveni visited the scene of the incident hours after it took court, and in a statement on Sunday morning promised to deal with cowardly pigs. When we return, we will bring you updates on the foreign scene. To stay with us. The head of U.S. media giant CBS, Les Moonves, has resigned with immediate effect after allegations of sexual misconduct. CBS had been investigating Mr. Moonves since allegations appeared in The New Yorker in July, and fresh accusations from 6 more women appeared on Sunday. Mr. Moonves, who is 68, denies the allegations, calling the latest appalling. However, CBS said the company and Mr. Moonves would donate $20 million to groups supporting the Me Too movement. Trump administration is back in the news as the United States on Monday will adopt an aggressive posture against the International Criminal Court in The Hague, threatening sanctions against the judges if they proceed with an investigation into alleged war crimes committed by Americans in Afghanistan. President Donald Trump's National Security Advisor John Bolton is to make the announcement in a midday speech to the Federalist Society, a conservative group in Washington. It will be his first major address since joining Trump White House. Mr. Bolton will also say that the State Department will announce the closure of the Palestinian Liberation Organization (PLO) office in Washington out of concern about Palestinian attempts to prompt an ICC investigation of Israel. Cambodia opposition leader Kem Sokha has been unexpectedly released from prison where he was awaiting trial on charges of treason. Kem Sokha has been released on bail and is not clear if the charges against him will be dropped. He was arrested in 2017 in a case widely seen as politically motivated. His party was subsequently dissolved, and with no political opposition left, the ruling party won a landslide election victory earlier this year. The crackdown on the opposition sparked international condemnation and threats to withdraw aid from the country. We'll take a short break. When we return, It will be Business Report with Edidiong Ewang. Stay with us.
Welcome to Business News on Plus TV Africa. I am Edidiong Ewang. Well, the number of air passengers dropped by 4.9% from 3.85 million in the first quarter of this year to 3.63 million in the second quarter. And that's according to a report on the aviation sector released by the National Bureau of Statistics. The report stated that during the second quarter of this year, 2.65 million passengers traveled through the nation's domestic airports. The 2.65 million, according to the report, represents 73.6% of the total number of passengers that traveled through the airports during the period. Compared to the number of passengers that travel through the domestic and international airports in the first quarter, the report noted that the second quarter figures represented a decline of 4.52% and 5.86% respectively. Now, the Federal Inland Revenue Service has said it is set to increase government revenue via taxation by 20% before the end of 2018 financial period. According to a communique released after a recent meeting of the Joint Tax Board, in a bid to increase government revenue, the FRSC said it had started introducing some initiatives. In the communique, revenue authorities nationwide were advised to ensure that all efforts are made to increase the national tax revenue to the gross domestic product ratio to at least 20% by December 31st, 2018. Also, state tax revenue authorities were also asked to explore all non-personal income tax sources. Speaking on this, the executive chairman of FRSC, Babatunde Fowler, said their administration has the responsibility to provide the nation with adequate funds to which it will be able to fund its development objectives. A new report on trading activities at the Nigerian Stock Exchange has revealed that the nation's equity market plummeted by 687 billion naira in August, with a closing market capitalization of 12.722 trillion naira. However, in the first trading week in September, 384.893 million shares were traded, valued at 9.790 billion naira. Our business correspondent, Amir Abu Bakr, brings us up to speed on the last trading day of the week.
The last trading day of the week closed bearish with an all-share index drop of 0.21%, a composite index of 34,037.91. GlaxoSmith was up by 1 naira 20 kobo as it traded at 14 naira 30 kobo, a 9.16% rise from its last close, while Mobil was also up by 1 naira, a 0.56% rise. Dangote Cement dropped by 1 naira, bringing it down by 0.45%, and UBN was also down by 55 kobo, a 9.40% drop. Guarantee was the most active stock, trading a volume of 27.192 million shares, valued at 948.894 million naira. And on sectoral indices, NSE Consumer Goods was up 0.30%, NSE Oil and Gas was down 0.18%, NSE Banking was also down 0.62%, and NSE Industrial dropped by 0.44%. Market capitalization stood at 12.426 trillion naira and total deals was 2,715. Irene Ubani reporting for Plus TV Africa.
Well, that's it on business news at this hour. But up next is entertainment news with Tokunbo Taiwo. Don't go away.
And in entertainment, Amir Abu Bakr, who is the eldest son of the Sultan of Sokoto, was allegedly involved in a near-fatal car crash after also purportedly getting intoxicated on codeine. The accident happened at 12 noon around Sokoto Airport Road in an area called Bado. Alia Machido's son and another lady were also with him in the car when the accident occurred. A bottle of codeine was allegedly recovered from the car crash, and Amir was reportedly drunk. The Sultanate Council hasn't confirmed any report yet, as the story is still developing. A veteran music legend, Benissa Obey, has collaborated with Household of God Church to provide free healthcare services to inhabitants of Idogo in Ogun State. The program is part of a 2-day program in celebration of the 7-year remembrance of his late wife, Juliana Obey. President of Relume Foundation, Professor Sherry Adeosun, said the total people that participated in the 2-day program are 572 adults and 523 children. We distributed medications and food supplies to participants. We also gave school supplies to over 150 students and gave anti-worm medication, multivitamins and folic acid to 300 children, while 15 people were taken to the Eye Foundation Clinic for cataract surgery. And that's it on entertainment. The best in sports right after this. I'm Tokumbo Taiwo.
Hello and welcome to Sports Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko. And in sports, the Golden Eagles of Nigeria will go on to face host Niger in the semi-finals of the WAFU B 2019 Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying tournament on Thursday. The Golden Eagles topped Group B after Côte d'Ivoire won Burkina Faso 3-0 on Sunday. Amadou Garaba's lads lost their first game 3-2 against Burkina Faso, but went on to win the second game 5-1 against Côte d'Ivoire to top the group with 3 points and enjoy a better goal difference to the two. The overall winners will progress to the 2019 Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations in Tanzania. And for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, the Super Eagles head coach, General Raw, has handed invitation to 5 home-based players from an international friendly match against Liberia in Monrovia on Tuesday in celebration of Liberian President's former World Footballer of the Year, George Opongwe. Mfon Udo, Ikechukwu Ezenwa, and Sunday Adetunji from Enyimba, and FC Ifeanyi Uba's defender Adeleye Olamilekon and Lobby Stars Ebube Duru are the players who have been given a chance to show their quality. And for General Raw, he has also listed 14 foreign-based players for the game, majority of whom were part of the squad that defeated Seychelles 3-0 in the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying fixture on Saturday. And that's it on Sports Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko.
And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube page, and that's at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us again. My name is Felicity Ezewike. Wishing you a great day.